Hey everybody, Adam Savage. It is auction season at Prop Store, and that means I am at their warehouse in LA. We have just covered an amazing lot of C3PO ephemera, which we'll include in a link in the description. Hello, Brandon.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. We have the other amazing robot from Star Wars here represented. R2-D2, tell me about what this is.
So this is an original 1976 blueprint that came directly from a member of the ILM crew. And they got a number of the blueprints there at ILM. I suspect they were actually printed in the UK where they built R2-D2 and then sent over to ILM. I know that they used R2-D2 for pickup work and they had to do some work on the internals, etc. So this is an original production print. There's another one in this auction, which I believe is the front view, and then the back and the other side we're going to have in a future auction.
Amazing.
So in total, we do have 4 of these prints, and I think it's going to be exciting for the R2 builders because I think there's one of the prints that is not regularly seen. Like a number of these are just out there as images.
I have scans of some of these already in my collection, but I think you're right. There's one I haven't seen. I can't remember which one it is.
I can't off the top of my head either, but we are going to have it. And the other really interesting thing about this is, unfortunately, it had some water damage on it. You can see just here little evidence of staining. So it went out to a professional paper conservator who was able to do a wash on it, which really minimized the appearance of the water damage. It did also mute the colors down, take a little bit of the blue out of it, but it is an original 1976 print, and it's been nicely linen backed as well.
It is really lovely. So back then, someone would draw up a blueprint in pencil or pen, and then it would be printed on a large format printer made specifically for printing blueprints, and the ink they used was blue. That's why they called them blueprints.
Okay, yeah.
I was surprised when we measured this. It's actually a little bit bigger than R2.
Yeah, which is fascinating, I guess. Enlarged somewhere along the way, you think?
Maybe. So R2 is 3 feet 2 inches tall, and that's 38 inches, and this is like 42.
So we're 10% up.
10% up a little bit.
Yeah.
This is one of the pieces I know better than most.
You've built your own.
I have built my own from scratch. I've made many of his parts multiple times. So there's so much here that is deeply familiar to me. And a couple things that I was surprised to see. For instance, these details are slightly different than they end up being on R2.
Okay, yeah.
These are 2 circles with 3 dots in them and a small little conical rise in the center. And then this bit here has some wires coming out of it, some wiring details that
we
never made
that,
it into
right?
R2-D2.
Yeah, good observation.
And there's also 2 buttons down here. Now, I know that on several of the motorized and mechanical R2s, there have been power buttons placed in the bottom of this panel.
Okay.
I don't know if this is where it originated. It is a great place to put buttons because it's about 3/4 of an inch deep and you can't see stuff down there. Dude, it's so much. I mean, I have machined everything here that you can see that is machinable. It's a real delight to see it like this.
And this dashed line, I guess, is showing us just that the leg can move. Is that?
Yeah, I think it's showing us. What's weird is it's showing us the front extent of the leg moving, but in fact, when R2 is in his relaxed state, it's the leg is back, and the front leg comes out.
Or is that possibly meant to indicate the center leg?
Well, except that what I'm noticing in the rotation is that they've included the rotation of the underarm. But there's also a call out here that the horseshoe, this piece, has been modified, and to see drawing number 84.
We don't have that one.
You're missing.
Sorry, guys.
There's 80 more drawings to go get.
Really cool, though.
I also love this central detail of the foot. Showing so much of the actual contour using blueprint technique of lines close together and lines farther together, showing me a curved shadow.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how technically involved putting together. You know, not only do you have to be an artist, you have to be a real technician to sit down and draw something like this.
As someone who cobbles things together a lot, it's very entertaining to me to see such a plotted out and planned R2-D2 elevation.
It's interesting. This calls it out as for a 3 foot 8 inch man.
Yes. Okay. Which who could that be? Oh, that means that. Oh, so that's interesting.
But it's still that would still be larger than the 42 that it's drawn at.
It's true, but if it's for a 3'8" man, that would delineate that this may be a drawing of Kenny Baker's R2 specifically.
Okay.
Because those were a little bit different. There were sneakers built in here. On the inside where the quote battery box is, there's a big cutout you can see where his leg goes so that he can be comfortable in there. And they did give him the ability to move the central body back. Every time you see R2 doing this, that's Kenny inside, like rocking around.
It.
Yeah. I didn't think that there was different drawings for the Kenny R2 versus the normal three-legged one, but maybe there was.
It would look beautiful on a frame in the wall.
Indeed. I mean, and I also see some mechanical parts here that I'm not sure what those... I'm just always interested in the archival details.
What is this note here? What does that say?
Reissued 23 January 76. Okay, so that tells you roughly this is pre-production, right? Top section of leg modified. So maybe that's what some of these dots are.
Yeah.
Is they're calling out some of the ways in which it's modified.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Really, yeah, really neat.
I mean, that's what I love doing every time I get to come down here and talk about pieces of this ephemera, is what it tells us about the filmmaking process.
Yeah.
And actually, on that front, the second piece we're looking at blew my mind.
Yeah, do you want to come take a look at this?
Let's talk about what this thing is. This is incredible.
So this is done by an artist named Harry Lange, who I'm sure you're familiar with. Worked on movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then all the Star Wars films. And and I think before that was actually part of NASA.
I think you're right.
And that's where he got all his sort of technical knowledge and aesthetic. And he developed, Harry Lange's sort of famous amongst fans for developing the pinline look of these dash panels. And this is him basically drawing it up for the first time, what became the Falcon's interior cockpit.
This is amazing. A Falcon's interior cockpit, one of my favorite, maybe my favorite cockpit in history, fictional or otherwise. But when you say he drew it, and like from Joey's camera here, you can't see it, but here in this B-roll, looking straight up close, this is all just hand-drawn by a guy with a straight edge and some white ink in his pen.
And it actually is very faithful to the set as they built it for the first film, even though this has been framed with a still from Empire.
Yes.
And I think Harry Lange himself framed this at some point because there was an exhibition of his work in the 1980s. And I think that's what it was put together for.
Okay.
But I'm confident this is from the first film because there's actually a piece of documentary footage where they're in the art department and you see this piece.
Really?
You see this exact piece of artwork with the silhouette of the man cut out here in the doorway, exactly like that.
It's amazing. Just the hand-drawn aspect, but also how fully formed this aesthetic is. Each row is slightly different, giving you different ideas about functionality. That probably comes out of institutional knowledge about cockpit design, localizing certain activities within panels that draw your eye. And it's all there. Every last detail I can see here is represented here, every piece.
Yeah, no, and I think it speaks to the realism and the production design of Star Wars, and the reason that it imprinted on all of our minds in such a strong way is because there was just so much in that world to get lost in, like these kinds of panels, right?
Yeah. And now I'm finding myself wondering if he didn't complete the drawing down here when he first did it and then cut it out, which it looks like, to do this really elaborate keyhole mask.
I think you're right.
Which again, if it's Harry Lange, more power to you.
And then look, another pin line.
Yes.
He likes pin lines. Let's tie this all together.
Even down to the exhibition.
Yes. Yeah.
That's lovely. What a great piece. Stuff like this doesn't show up very often.
No, I mean, this came from the Lange estate. And so they did have some amazing content, a number of Harry Lange Star Wars artworks that we've actually sold in the past. And they did have some 2001 artwork in the estate as well. So some really wonderful material that came out of there that Harry had saved, I think, just to preserve his own work. Harry Lange's been gone a number of years, sadly, but he's one of those great pioneers from that era of both 2001 and Star Wars. And, you can see just how good the work was. And
it's so rare. Like, we see drawings all the time. We see blueprints. But it's so rare to see the direct thing of somebody just sitting here going, oh, I'll draw a triangle there. And then faithfully reproduced months later by a crew who knows nothing about this drawing.
Right. Yeah, no, that's interesting. And it's kind of an interesting contrast to the the monochrome blueprint that we have over there, whereas this is a different way of sitting down and designing something, but with the same ultimate goal, right?
I'm curious if there must be somewhere, or he must have done at some point, other drawing layouts of the other parts and facets of the cockpit.
Right,
layout.
like all the side panels. No, it's true. Who knows what happened to those? Yeah.
Amazing. This is it's so beautiful. It's so evocative. It also makes me want to make the cockpit from the Millennium Falcon, which I will never make. I'll never get around to it, but it is a holy grail. Incredible piece, Brandon.
And amazing that it survives. I mean, 1976, and this is just all done crudely on illustration board. Yeah. It's really not intended to last. It's not the product.
No, you can see it yellowing from exposure to UV.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not. It's both precious and it was not thought of to be precious way back when.
Right, which is what makes it a collectible today. You know, who would have thought that it still exists?
I love that we got so much meat out of a couple of pieces of paper.
Great paper. Star Wars paper.
Great stories. These are lovely pieces. And the auction is, what are the dates of the auction?
March 12th to March 14th. 1,700 lots over 3 days, including these 2 lots and a lot of other great content.
And there's some affordable stuff too, in case your eyes water when you see how much C-3PO's head is thought to maybe go for. Remember that there are some stuff priced for the rest of us.
That's right. Actually, the entirety of day 3 is no reserve. So no reserve whatsoever. Starts at a very low starting bid, and the bidding will take it where it takes it.
Jesus. Great. Brandon, thank you, man.
Good to see you.
See you guys next time. Thanks for watching that video. Your support allows us to make more of this great content. And if you'd like to help us further, help tested.merch.com?
Tested-store.com.
Tested-store.com. Head over to our merch store, Tested. What is it?
Tested-store.com.
Tested-store.com. Head over to our store at testedstore.com. I can't even read what I wrote. Tested dash
hyphen dash and dash.
There we go. I had to start that again. All right, here we go.
Tested-store.com.
Tested-store.com.